I hope you know you were put here to do something great. I've heard Ed Milet say it a bunch of times. You were born to do something great with your life. I hope that's your belief. Remember, if we change our thinking, we change our life. What if you started to operate out of the belief that you were born to do something great? Whatever age, stage, place you are, environment, all the stuff. What if the belief that you held constantly in your mind was that you were born to do something great with your life, amazing with your life? If you don't feel like you've had, experienced greatness or have those things, then that means there's more for you. If that's your belief, if that's how you start thinking. Because if you change your thinking, then you can change your life. If you operate out of a place of believing that you were born to do something great with your life and God already placed it inside of you and you are just kind of finding out and growing into that person and developing the capacity to experience the life that you're asking for, if that's your starting place, you might operate differently. You might be a little bit more intentional about your relationships or about what you choose to do with your time. If your belief was that you're great, it's all about how you think about it. Again, the things you hear in there, my job, what I'm here to do is plant these seeds so that you can start to water them yourself. You get this for an hour and a half a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 30 minutes to plant a good seed to say, hey, we need to shift our thinking. We're transformed by the renewing of our mind. So if we're not focused on renewing our mind consistently, if we're not constantly thinking about pouring in new messages, changing our belief system, our lives will not change. But if we're intentional about this every day, if you're intentional about what you're pouring in, you're intentional about the messages, you're intentional about your self talk, you're intentional about who you're around and what you're listening to and what you're watching. If you're intentional about this stuff, it'll change your life. It'll change your life. Couple notes that I wrote down. Something in you is greater than what you're going through. All again, belief system. These are right cliches, cute things to say, but when you believe it, when you believe that like you're stronger than whatever you're going through, that something greater in you than that is which is in the world, right? Like if you start to believe these things, like for real, you operate differently. You operate differently in life. And so that's why we're talking about these things. You're not your past. Couple things that came out of that video. You're not your past. Whatever you've went through, whatever experiences you've had, whatever things that have happened in the past, that is not you. Those are just experiences. You get to design the life that you want. You get to design your future. The question is, do you want the next 5 years to look like the last 5 years? Do you want the next 10 to look like the last 10? Most people have the same things happen to them over and over again because they don't actually have the vision for where they want to go. But if you can have that vision of, hey, this is the next 5 years are going to look completely different than the last five. How? Because I'm going to think about my life differently. I'm going to think about my time differently. I'm going to think about what I'm consuming differently. I'm going to think about my relationships differently. Think about my health differently, my finances differently, my spiritual life differently. I'm going to think about these things differently. So therefore, I'll get a different result. We got to be intentional about it, y'all. We got to be intentional about it. And it all comes down to a decision. I wrote the word decide really big. I wrote decide. You get to decide how you live your life. You get to make the decisions. Nothing external of you is making these decisions. You make the decisions. So you have to make the decision to go after your greatness, to do something great with your life, to challenge yourself, to push yourself out of your comfort zone. Like you make that decision, y'all. And that this is just a reminder. Again, this is just a reminder that you get to do that. You get to do that. And so take back your power today. Take back all of your power as, oh, my family did this, my job this. Don't worry about it. Like you got it. But you got to make a decision to go after it. Why go through all this hard stuff? Why go to renewing your mind? Why cutting people off? Why, reading better things? Why being intentional about what you eat? Like why are you doing anything? Most people get to this place in life. Most people get to this place where it's like, why am I doing any of this? Like, why anything? I'm just gonna live life the way, right? I'm just gonna take it as it comes. I'm just gonna handle. That's the quintessential being knocked down and not getting back up. When you start to have that defeatist, what is the world good for? Like, why am I trying? My luck is whatever God has for me, right? Like when you start having these types of thoughts, you're you're not allowing your vision, your compelling vision, your why to really pull you. So that's your work. Everybody's got their own work, ladies and gentlemen, right? To get to the life you don't need a break from. Your path is different than my path. Your journey is different than my journey, is different than your brother's journey, your sister's journey. So you got to be clear about yours. You got to be clear about yours. You got to understand why you are doing this, what you want out of this life, what you want out of your health, what you want out of your relationship. Like you have to know that before we do any of this other stuff, before you read the books and do the seminars and go with all the stuff, you got to know why you're doing it. Here's what it says in our text, 177 mental toughness secrets of the world class. It says the world class focuses on their why. Again, stuff you know, but this is a good reminder. It says the world class thinkers know that when it comes to manifesting their ultimate visions, the real question that must be answered is not the how to, but the why. Just always remember that because sometimes we get focused on the how. Sometimes, right? Like a lot of times we get focused on how do I make this happen? Okay, Chris, I want to be financially independent. How do I do that? Okay, I want to get help. Like, how do I do that? Okay, right? Like we focus on the how. This says world class are focused on the why. There's a great book. Gosh, what's his name? Benjamin, Darren Hardy, maybe. Yeah. Who Not How. It's called Who Not How. It's a great book for anybody that wants to build businesses or right, like understands or wants to grow something. Oftentimes, same premise is what we're about to talk about. Instead of focusing on the why or focusing on the why instead of the how, most people focus on the how instead of like the who in business, right? It's like, how do I do this instead of who do I know that has this information? Who do I know that knows these things? Who do I know that could do this role? It's a who question. So we've been taught a lot of the how. This is just another lesson where we have to unlearn and relearn. You might have thought I have a vision, now I have to know the how do I get that. But this is saying it's not about the how, it's about the why. Like, why are you doing that? Why do you want that? Here's what it says. It says, in other words, odds are that someone somewhere already knows how to do whatever the champion wants to do and can most likely be tapped as a mentor for assistance. The critical thinking question is, why do I want this vision to become a reality? The intensity of emotion with which this question is answered will determine whether the dream comes alive or dies. I'm going to say that sentence again because I don't want it to go over your heads. And I want you to understand how much energy actually matters and intensity actually matters. It says, the intensity of emotion with which this question is answered, right? The question of why do I want this vision to become a reality? The intensity in which it's answered, right? It's really important. The intensity of emotion with which this question is answered will determine whether the dream comes alive or dies. The intensity with behind the emotion as to why you say you want to lose weight will determine whether or not you actually do. If you think it's just because you want to fit into a summer bathing suit or you want to take a trip and you want to look nice for pictures, that's cool. But it'd be different if the doctor told you, hey, you're not going to live for another year if you don't change, right? Like the intensity with which the emotion is there will determine whether or not you do it. You've lived plenty of summers not fitting into the bathing suit that you wanted to, and you're still alive and life is good. But when the doctor tells you if you don't change how you eat, like you won't be here for another 6 months, like you'll do whatever because the intensity of that emotion went up. I hope you understand that. It says here, if your house was burning down, would you risk your life to save the furniture? Probably not. But if your kids were trapped inside the house, would you risk your life trying to save them? Of course. The point is, we will do anything if the stakes are high enough, if we have a big enough reason why. World class thinkers know this and capitalize on it, while middle class thinkers are scaling back their goals and dreams because they don't know how to accomplish them. World class thinkers are soul searching for their emotional motivators. The salesperson who dreams of winning the company trip to Maui and being recognized on stage in front of his family and peers, the manager who envisions leading her team to record-breaking sales in order to prove to herself that she is as good as she knew she was, even though her stepfather told her that she would never amount to anything. Champions know the secret to world-class motivation lies in emotion. The great ones decide what they want and, more importantly, why they want it. They know all benefits come down to an emotion that we are trying to create through our goals and dreams. So they invest a lot of mental energy attempting to identify what emotion they are really after. Once they discover it, the fight to make their vision a reality is over before it begins. Obstacles and setbacks are no match for a visionary driven by raw emotion. Ordinary people are transformed into extraordinary performers who no longer recognize failure as an option. The power of emotional motivation is unmistakable, yet only the champions invest time to tap into it. Why do you want what you want? This is the question. Everyone's answer is different. Why do you want what you want? There was a saying we used to say all the time when you're going into this process, ladies and gentlemen, if this is you and you're like, I need to tap in to my why, because again, that will give you the motivation to go do whatever you're trying to do. If your why is actually deep enough, if it's not surface, if it's not like, it would be nice if I did or nice if I didn't. If it's deep enough, we used to say, when your why makes you cry, then you know you found something. If you ask yourself why enough times, 3, 4 levels deep, I want to make $1 million. Why? Because I want to protect, because I want to take care of my family. Great. Why? Well, because my family means everything to me. Great. Great. Why? Because I chose that, right? Like if you just keep going down that, you'll get to an emotion. You'll get to an actual feeling that maybe you've never been tapped into. You've never experienced actually figuring out why you are doing something. But when you do, it'll give you the emotion you need to then go through the adversity, to go through the tough time, to go through the setbacks, to not keep doubting yourself, to not keep slowing down, to get back up because you know why you are doing something. The title of that video that we watched says like prove them wrong. That's what it said. It says prove them wrong, right? And in the action step for today, this was really interesting. In the action step, it says make a commitment to clearly identify what is driving you to achieve your life's vision. This is the emotional part that eventually you got to get to if you want to take your life to the next level. If you want to design a life that you don't need a break from, right? You want to be able to get there, whatever there is for you. Identify why you are doing what you're doing. Why? What is driving you behind getting to your life's vision? They gave 5 examples of normally the things that drive people emotionally. It says these are the 5 most popular emotional motivators. Number 1, your religious and spiritual beliefs. People are driven by that. I'm just serving the Lord. I'm just serving God. I'm just doing what the Lord will have me to do. This is the reason why I'm achieving my life. This is the reason why I wake up every day. This is the thing that gives me energy to pursue because I know I'm pleasing my creator. Like people, that may be a motivator for you. It may not be the strongest motivator for you. So you have to understand where that falls. That's just one area. Children or family, another popular emotional motivator. Oh, I'm doing it for my family. I'm making like I'm doing this all for my children, right? I'm sacrificing, taking the classes, doing all the stuff so my kids can have a better life. I'm doing this so that my special needs sibling has a life that she can handle, right? Like we do things for our family, for our children. That's a huge emotional need. Is that why you're doing it? Is that the thing that's pulling you? What about the third thing? And this is it. This is a big one. The desire to prove oneself to oneself. Your desire to prove yourself to yourself. All the things you've known your whole life that you just never tried, you never did, but you knew deep down you could do it. You could make it happen. You have the power to do it, but you never actually tried. You never went after it. And now you're at the season of your life where you're proving it to you. You're proving it to you that you're good. You're proving it to you that you have integrity. You're proving it to you that you have discipline. You're proving it to yourself. That is a huge emotional motivator because what does it feel like when you are proud of you? Talk about your why making you cry, right? What does it feel like when you're proud of you? You don't need anyone else to be proud of you. You're proud of you because you proved it to yourself, like you can make it happen. Is that your emotional motivator? What about the desire to prove yourself to somebody else? This is a real emotional motivator. It might not last forever, but for sure, it's an emotional motivator for people. The person that told you you couldn't do it, the person that you're proving wrong, the doors that shut in your face, the people that betrayed you, the things like people do that. Like it's like you got to get back to that person again, not maybe the best motivation, but it is a real emotional motivator. Is that what you're operating out of? Lastly, general recognition or validation. Maybe you just want to be validated. Maybe you just want the award. Maybe you just want to be put up on stage. Maybe you want everyone to know your name. Like, I'm not sure, but you have to go back and identify exactly what it is that is driving you to get to the life you don't need a break from. When you do that, when you can understand your why and you can really figure out, man, press this emotional button, and that's why I'm doing this. Man, I'm not going to stop because I said I'm doing this for my grandchild who really needs me because if without me, they're not going to have another way to make this happen. I'm not going to see my family go down that path. Like Robert said in the comments, right? Generational wealth is an emotional motivator. That's a family emotional driver. Generational wealth is thinking about generations that you have not yet met. Funny, and not you, Robert, but like funny, I was having this conversation with my wife that I said most people don't actually want generational wealth. They say it. I'm not talking about you, Robert. I love you. But most people say they want generational wealth, but they actually don't because they would operate differently. They would move differently in life. They would have an investor mindset. They would put more away for the future. They would understand about how, like, values, integrity, what keeps generational wealth, how to keep families together, how to pass things that, like, most people say it, but like they don't necessarily operate out of it. This is why you have to know exactly why you are operating because it'll tell you how you should be moving, how you should be maneuvering in life, y'all. The best part is we get to do this every day. You get to wake up every day. God gives you choice, right? To say, hey, you know what? This is what I want to go do today. This is what I want to do. This is who I want to become. This is the vision I have. And now you go spend every day waking up, going after that thing. All right. I love you guys. I want you to win. You deserve it. Your families deserve it.